Okay, so hi, I'm Polynese Johnson, and my claim is going to be how elderly drivers are become a danger to the road. So I'll first be talking about like their health state and like their physical state. So when it comes to their physical state, 1 in 3, and this was so 1 in 3 people develop a vision-reducing disease by the age of 65. And I want to for you guys to keep in mind that mine's, when I discuss elderly, I'm talking about 70 and up, to give you like a feel for it. But yeah, so vision-reducing disease is increased, or in 1 in 3, they develop it by 65. And most of like those diseases would be glaucoma, cataract, and diabetic retinopathy. And with glaucoma, that's just, it's like a visual field loss and blurred vision, and cataract is blurred vision as well, glare, and monocular diplopia. And then with the diabetic retinopathy, that's also blurred vision and visual field loss. And also another degenerative disease is age-related macular degeneration, and that's like the leading cause of vision loss in 65 and up. And to go off of that too, there's an article from BBC that shares like a story about an elderly driver going down a wrong way street, and she was 84 and she died. So that just shows you like, and I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with your grandparents and stuff, and like if you hand them like, oh hey, look at this, and like they'll like put it super close or put it far away, like the vision is not always there. So like, would you trust them driving you like to, like on a road trip, or would you trust them to go off like on their own? Like me personally, I don't like my grandma driving or my grandparents, but they do it because they're adults, you can't stop them. But typically, the older you get, the more like health problems that can start to develop, and you can be good one day and then the next day not so much. And so to go off of like the vision, in the Jerusalem Post, it told me about how like they have like this test. It's a useful field of view, so we call it a UFOV. Basically, it's like a test that like kind of shows you like kind of like what you how far like your field of view. So like younger people, we have like a wider field. So like we just can see more. So let's say like if we're driving and something, you can see something like a what is it? We have like a lot of rabbits around here. So like you'll see like a rabbit running across the road, and you can see that as like you're still facing forward, but theirs is like smaller. So if they get distracted easily, that can take like their focus off the road, and that's also like a big danger. As well as when it comes to like, that was like their physical, and when it comes to like their cognitive health, they also decline. So like with Alzheimer's, dementia, and depression, that's higher in elderly people, and that affects their driving as well. Because like when it comes to the DMV, which is so crazy, I was just at the DMV like a couple hours ago because I renewed my license, and I had to like take the test again, and I was reading it, it was giving me like ammo for this speech exactly, and it was saying how like basically DMV like had like 3 factors that they test you on, and it was visual, cognitive, and manual. So like visual, vision, just talked about that. Cognitive is like memory. So they give you like a knowledge test, and like you're tested on like you have to read the manual, remember it all, and you get tested on it. But like with like the older generation, I can't even get like my grandma to remember my boyfriend's name, and I tell it to her like constantly. So it just like shows you like if that manual, like what we're supposed to learn and what we're supposed to like keep in, it gets harder for like the older generation, just because their memory is not what it used to be. And also like let's say if they have let's say like a disease on top of that, Alzheimer's, dementia, or even depression. Like depression, even though it's not has to do so much with memory, it can like it can take your focus off of the road, just being that like they're not all there, even though they want to be themselves, but they can't just because like the way they feel. So that's like the cognitive part. And then manual, so like the DMV also like requires you to be have like like good hand-eye coordination and all of that. And with manual, more elderly people are like slower in movement. So when it comes to driving, you need to be alert, you need to be fast, and be able to like maneuver if you need to, slow down and keep up. And with like that, since they're slower, that affects their driving. And then I wanted to like give an example, like, cause I just started watching Grey's Anatomy. So on Grey's Anatomy, there's like basically an older man, and he like one thing about the older generation, I read like a lot of articles. They like driving, and it gives them a sense of freedom. Because let's say if they can't run or walk the fastest, they can at least get in their car and drive to wherever they want to go. And like basically in the episode, an older man, his daughter took his keys away because he wasn't supposed to be driving, and the wife gave it back, and then the man crashed into a fish market. It really hurt so many people, but just because like he wanted that sense of like freedom and to drive, she gave him the keys, and it ended up like causing a bigger impact than it should have. Instead of like them like stepping away and not letting him drive, but that just shows you like even though sometimes they know they're aware of like their impairment, sometimes the need of them wanting to drive can like also be a danger, and that's basically why elderly people are a danger on the roads.